Good evening. I'm Emily Austin, the CEO for the Association of Apprentices, and I'm delighted to be here with you this evening as part of the Festival of Apprenticeships. In this session, I'm going to be talking about community and its importance in an apprenticeship, in supporting apprentices right from when they start on a programme throughout their study and work until completion. I'll share with you what the Association of Apprentices is all about, and I'm going to be talking to two of our members, Anita Ibrahim and Zain Azam, who are going to share their stories and how joining the association has helped them. And I hope by the end of the session, you will take away some helpful information about the type of support that's available to apprentices and how you can stay connected so that either when you begin an apprenticeship or your child or pupil is starting an apprenticeship, they get off to the best possible start. So let me tell you first a little bit about the association. The association is a not-for-profit membership organisation set up to support apprentices in the UK by providing a social and professional network for them. And our vision is simple. We want to reach every apprentice in the UK with this community. We set up last year, but that's not where the story began. The story began a few years ago when our founder, Jason Holt, had been doing some work with the government and apprenticeships and really had the view that actually when you go to university, you have a ready-made community, you have your course peer groups and your friends. And actually he wanted to replicate that for apprentices. And it's not often possible because when you start an apprenticeship and you go straight to work, perhaps you're missing some of that social element. So he brought this forward and we set about last year setting up the association. We know from first-hand experiences that apprentices do really well when they start in groups. But if you think about starting an apprenticeship in a smaller organisation, that's not always possible. We also know from a study from LinkedIn that actually when you learn something, you really value social contributions and collaboration with other people. So this was really important that we replicate that. And we know also that young people often turn to social media to resolve some of their issues. And all of this led us to set up the first online social and networking platform for apprentices in the UK. And today we offer the apprentices the chance to do just that. So connect with each other, regardless of what age, what programme, what industry they're in. We offer a platform where they're able to talk to each other, share experiences and help learn from each other. Our members really value the opportunity to link with apprentices with similar interests and experiences to themselves. And our community helps them broaden their network beyond their workplace and build those sort of important network and connections that we know really matter in life and in work. As I said, our ambition is to get to every single apprentice in the UK and offer them the opportunity to become part of the community. But let me tell you what our apprentices say they want and what we're able to offer at the association. So first and foremost is our community platform, and this allows apprentices to connect with each other in an inclusive way and in a safe space to ask questions. They can connect by programme, by industry, by group that they're interested in. And we see lots of conversations online where apprentices are sharing experiences, celebrating success, and also asking for advice. We also offer development. So apprentices told us that they wanted to have access to more life skills development. Some of the apprentices we speak to, for example, want more information on how to build confidence or how to help with mental health. And we're able to offer lots of resources for them to do that, whether they're bite-sized courses or podcasts or whether they're more structured assessments. And this all helps support their apprenticeship. And we also offer events, and apprentices told us they wanted to access events with experts on things that matter most to them. So with a focus on mental health and wellbeing and personal development, we've held events with organisations such as the BBC and Mental Health UK, and these are all on demand through our community. So I've told you a bit about our community, but I'm joined by two of our members, as I said earlier. And first of all, I'm going to go to Anita. Anita, tell us a bit about your story. So you're an apprentice now. How did you pick the right apprenticeship for you? What were your thoughts on the options available?
Hi Emily, thank you very much. My name's Anita. I'm currently an apprentice at Thornton, so it's a global accountancy and management consultancy, and I'm studying a level 7 apprenticeship called the Senior Leader Programme, and that includes a master's degree in leadership and management. And I guess my story is slightly different because I started an apprenticeship after having quite a few years of work experience. But I guess I'd generally like to just bust some myths around apprenticeships and also share the fantastic opportunity that being an apprentice has given me. When I left school with quite good grades. I was actually quite academic, and I think that there is a misconception that apprentices aren't academic. But for myself personally, I felt that I couldn't see the link between university and a career because the subjects that I liked at school were very creative, and what I wanted out of the world of work was essentially financial independence, and so that I'd be able to, I guess, enjoy my interests. While I was at school, I really got a taste of that independence. I did work experience, really enjoyed it, and I actually got paid at the end of it. And that's when I realized that, I just wanted to get out into the world of work. So when I left school, I got a job, did quite well. I climbed the ladder, and I essentially, worked in sales. And as I started to progress, I got promoted and I became a people manager. And that's when I realized that I needed more skills. I was essentially what you could call an accidental manager. I got promoted by performing well, but I wasn't actually trained in management. And then I started to really worry about how I could give my best to the people that I managed. And that's when I learned about degree apprenticeships. My company, Grant Thornton, has a huge program for early careers. It's a top 100 apprentice employer. They bring in school leavers and they support them to become qualified accountants and other similar roles. But I was in a slightly different situation because I already worked there. But what was brilliant, though, is that they were completely open to supporting me in getting to the next stage of my career. So as I mentioned, I didn't go to university. I didn't have a degree. What I did have was a lot of work experience. So I found out about, I was able to interview with Cranfield University, who actually said, you've got enough work experience to go straight onto a master's degree apprenticeship program. My employer was really happy about that, and that really gave me a boost of confidence because it made me feel that they saw me as a future senior leader. And I think for me, that's the main benefit of an apprenticeship. It's the company that you're working for will support you to develop, get better skills and better qualifications. It benefits them, of course, but it shows that they believe in you and they're essentially paying for your education and hoping that you stay with them. So for me, it was absolutely a win-win.
Oh, that's brilliant. And you're in quite an unusual position, aren't you? Because not only are you an apprentice, but you also help your employer, Grant Thornton, with apprenticeships and recruitment of school leavers. Tell us a little bit about what Grant Thornton look for when they're hiring apprentices, which will be really helpful to this audience.
Absolutely. So Grant Thornton actually take on 300, every year between 350 to 450 apprentices, and train them to become fully qualified accountants and various roles that are, relevant to our industry. And actually, we're not looking for anyone that has got experience because we don't expect that anyone has got experience in accountancy. What we're really looking for is diversity of thought, lots of people from lots of different walks of life, a real sort of passion to want to want to join the world of work, and someone who is a great communicator and is really quite set in wanting to build a career for themselves. And I think that's probably one of the things about apprenticeships that's so special. It's a group of people that are so savvy, who understand what they want out of a career and the fact that they want to become financially independent quite quickly, that you often see apprentices getting ahead quite quickly. So it's really about coming across well, really knowing that you want to have a career and that you communicate well, and that's what we're looking for, really, just that real want to kind of get ahead.
Yeah, real desire as well. So, I mean, as an apprentice and helping other apprentices, what benefits do you see from belonging to a community? How's that helping you in your apprenticeship?
So, as I mentioned before, I didn't join Grant Thornton on the early careers program where there are various communities. So you'll have the community of apprentices that you join Grant Thornton with, but actually that can be quite not insular, but it's one group of people who have joined one company. What's so brilliant about the Association of Apprentices is that you get to meet a lot of people from different industries, and suddenly it becomes this huge network of people that aren't the same age, that aren't on the same program, and that you can really learn from regarding skills that are just outside of the technical skills of your program. And I think that's really important because diversity inclusion is a huge topic at the moment, and actually being able to have peers that work for lots of different organizations, have lots of different skills, can only benefit you. And I've found that from being part of the Association of Apprentices as well, that I'm meeting people from that inspire me all the time. I've got peers who work for the NHS. I've got peers that work across public and private sector, and I wouldn't have got that myself had I not joined the Association of Apprentices.
Yeah, that's really good to hear, actually. And as I sort of talk to some of our members, they have some similar experiences. So they've gone into an organisation who's perhaps new to apprenticeships, and actually their employer is still learning and their training provider is still learning. And actually they've found by connecting with others, that's really helping them to kind of navigate an apprenticeship and give them the best possible start. And we know, I know I'm not an apprentice, but I know that networking has helped me in my career tenfold. It's really important that early on you start to build that out more broadly, I think. And I think a community definitely gives apprentices the edge on that as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
It really helps with teamwork as well.
Yeah, thank you. Zane, I'm going to come to you next. Would you be able to share, your story, why you did an apprenticeship, what sort of options were available to you, and how you worked with teachers at school and your parents to make an informed choice about the one that you chose?
Thanks, Emily. So my name is Zain Azam. I am a degree apprentice at WaveNet. I left school and I went straight into an apprenticeship. Decided that route was for me because just the traditional route of being in the classroom all the time, I felt like it just wasn't for me. I'm more of a hands-on learner. I like try new things, get to know people, learning on the job. So the apprentice route was, I felt like the only option for me, supported my teachers, careers advice at school and my parents. It was seen at that time, apprenticeships where, it's just low-skilled jobs and things like that. That's how apprenticeships were seen to the last few years. That's completely not true. So I started off with a level 3 IT and telecoms apprenticeship, and then from there I studied further until now I'm on my degree apprenticeship with my employer WaveNet, who have been very supportive throughout.
That's really good as well. And what sort of activities are you involved in on your level 6 apprenticeship that you're doing at the moment?
So at the moment, alongside studying for a degree, I'm also studying for industry qualifications within the IT sector, which is it's great to have as long as with the work experience as well. It's very useful to have in this day and age. And overall, the apprenticeship experience, working with industry experts, it's just, you can't recreate that in a classroom, whilst I'm still getting that education and formal education at the same time, which I think is really good.
I speak to a lot of employers in my role, and one of the things they really value, or tell me they really value, is that obviously you're learning your industry skills and you're learning about the organisation, but more than that, you're getting the experience. So actually, having got the qualification, you've then got 3-4 years experience behind you, which makes you really marketable and actually gives you a really strong position in the organisation. I can recall talking to a manager once who sort of said, actually, when you do an apprenticeship, and Anita mentioned this earlier, you demonstrate to your organisation that you're serious about learning and you're serious about progressing, and that goes a long way to sort of raise you above the parapet as it is, and for employers to really recognise that contribution as well. Zane, how have you found the community? Because I think when we were chatting previously, you said one of the things that your parents had said to you is, will you not miss the social side of university? And that's one of the reasons the association was set up. How have you found that, belonging to a community?
Yeah, I think Connect was really great product which has come out, and it's something which I use on the regular now since it did come out. feel like coming from now on my degree apprenticeship, when I first started out, that element of AoA Connect is something which I would have found really useful at the time. And it's great that it's out there now and it supports apprentices across the UK. It's just because you're part of whether it's small or large organisation, as Anita touched on before, it's great to network with people outside of your employer and connect with people and learn together.
Yeah, I think so. I think also really important, I suppose, as a parent, my children are going through the age now where they're deciding on apprenticeship or university. And one of the things that worries me is while they're at school, I can call a teacher and I can say, how are they progressing? Or I've got concerns. But actually, as a parent, I wouldn't know who to go to. I wouldn't call the employer. They would be very mortified, my children, if I did. But, knowing that there's a community out there, and this is actually beyond the association, there is such broad support for apprentices from across government, from across employers, from across training providers. I've never worked anywhere that's so collaborative. We've got this sort of shared common purpose to support apprentices. As a parent, that's massively reassuring that I've got a route to go if I needed to support, my child as well. So, and just before we sort of open up to see if there's any questions, is there any sort of words of advice, Anita, that you would give to those on the call today, whether it be parents, teachers, people considering an apprenticeship? And what would be your sort of top 3 things, let's say, in terms of advice?
Yeah, I think when thinking about what your next steps are going to be, I think maybe not to overcomplicate it, but think about what you want from a career, but what makes you happy. What do you like working with people? Are you techie? Are you a natural leader? And then think of this, and then just have a look at the kind of apprenticeships that there are that are available that resonate with your character and personality. Look up companies that resonate with the sort of things that you believe in. There are organizations out there that people love as a brand. Why don't you look at your favorite organizations and see what apprenticeship programs they have available? I think sometimes we can get lost in thinking, right, I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be a doctor, or I want to be an accountant. But actually, you could really have a belief in an organization and say, well, let me just look at their careers page and start from there. And also I'd say find people who are like you or people who you want to be like, and just ask them how they got to where they got to, because it might, that might also be surprising. It's not always just university, which is the route that got them there. And also ask for, I think the third thing would be to ask for feedback. If you're working on things like your personal statement or your CV or an application, find people to have a look through it, ask for feedback, be prepared to put the work in, do further sort of amendments and iterations, and really just sort of, go for it, but don't be afraid to ask for feedback to get ahead, because it really does help.
Yes, and I think that goes for all of us wherever you are in your career, is not being afraid to ask people. And people are massively receptive if you say, what did you read, or what did you do, or what was your experience? Always really willing to help. And same question to you. What would your advice be to those on the call if they're considering the apprenticeship route?
Go for it. It's such a great place to be. As you mentioned before, there's so much support within the sector, and even with AoA coming out now, it's even stronger. There's so much support there, and there's a great sense of community across the fabulous employees that we have, training providers, and the AoA. It's a really good opportunity for your career.
Yeah, really supportive. Well, let me just go back to sharing just how you can stay in touch. If you bear with me 1 second, this will really be helpful if you're wanting some more information. So tomorrow, in fact, if you wanted some more information, and like Anita said, maybe to ask for advice and feedback, Jasmine, who is one of our council members here at the association, is taking over our Twitter feed. And you can ask her anything at all. So between 12 and 2 tomorrow, Ask an Apprentice. Jasmine will be there to answer any questions. I think if you want further information on community, we're actually launching a programme tomorrow with ITN Industry News Productions. And this is all around community and how various employers and apprentices have come together to talk through the benefits of apprenticeships and also how you can be involved. Now, we've got an event tomorrow, but if you're not able to make that, if you check out the Association of Apprentices website, you will see the film on there, and that can be really helpful in helping you to make some decisions. So I'll just stop sharing there and come back, and we've got a few minutes and we'll wait to see if we have any questions which we'd invite from the audience. While we're waiting for any questions to come through, really excited about the programme tomorrow going live. So that's on LinkedIn and available on our website. Get to see some great employers there. So there's BT and Network Rail and the NHS, talking about so many different opportunities. I think you were saying, Zane, earlier, you know, how many different opportunities there are. And, you know, thinking about what you said, Anita, I have a friend whose daughter's just secured a legal apprenticeship, but in the NHS, which is an organisation that she really matters to her, but it's a profession she wants to do, which is a fabulous outcome as well. How can we find out more about opportunities in the creative sector is a question that's just come through. One of our founding partners, actually, the BBC, has a recruitment campaign out at the moment, but I won't publicise that too much for them. Are there any tips, hints and tips that you guys have for the creative sector? Mine would be to make sure that you visit the apprenticeship site and have a look at some of the vacancies there. Any other hints and tips, Anita, Zane?
Well, for me, I've having worked in the apprenticeships field for quite some time, again, sort of going back to what I said earlier about find the sort of organisations that really resonate with you. So creative obviously is a really large term. So it could be music, it could be arts, it could be theatre production. Look up all of those big organisations that you all can think of right now in your heads and have a look at their careers page and find out what apprenticeships they do. There are some fantastic apprenticeship opportunities across the whole, you know, every sector, especially creative, but I would definitely start with the sort of organisations that you like, and then going back to what Emily said, have a look at the apprenticeships page on the Institute for Apprenticeships, and you'll see a whole list of every apprenticeship that's available, and you can go from there as well and see who delivers them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long list, actually, not just in creative, but there's over 700 different apprenticeship standards to study, and things on there that, you know, when I started out in apprenticeships many moons ago were never available. You know, can do space engineering, things like that. So it's really incredible opportunities. Zane, how many apprenticeships did you apply for, is one of the questions that's come through.
I applied for about 15 apprenticeships when I first left school. I kept going. I asked for feedback on my CV. As Anita mentioned before, it's very important to get feedback, your personal statement. And then after that, I actually found a training provider, which I went to, called Solveway, which were very helpful. They understood what I was looking for, what I enjoyed, my interests, and they found a few opportunities for me to go to interviews. And that's from there is where I started my first apprenticeship.
Okay, that's brilliant. And question again for you, what field of IT interests you the most?
I prefer being on the network side, so network service and service and design. Those are my main areas which I focus in. Okay,
and your apprenticeship allows you to focus in that, and then more broadly for a wider view as well?
Yeah, so more on the IT cloud solutions, so network engineering, cloud, that's where the future is. There's a lot of work going on at the moment with public cloud solutions, so that's where I'm at the moment.
That sounds great. Sounds great. And I'm not sure who this question is directed to, but I'll ask you both. Do you think that having a community can help you in your apprenticeship? And I think you may have answered in a roundabout way, but it might just be worth just going back over.
Yeah, I think definitely having that community support behind you, it really helps. even on your good days, and even sometimes when you're having a bad day. We all have them, and it's really good to know that you've got people behind you to support you throughout your apprenticeship journey.
Yeah, I think I'll add to that, because I think, Emily, you mentioned before that some parents can have a bit of trepidation when it comes to sending your child straight out into the workplace. But actually, it's not, you're not going straight out into work. You're being supported, number one, by your employers to gain a qualification. But of course, you've got your training provider and a whole community of other apprentices who will support you. So actually, that support is probably even more so that you might get than if you were just at one training institution, i.e. university. So having that community is needed, and it is really, really beneficial.
Yeah, I think it adds to the whole experience, and just some reassurance, as you say, around the fact that there are people on standby to support. I think we've got a couple more questions that we have time for. We've got about three minutes. Question, I think this is both of you, and Anita, I know it's only one, but Zane, how many apprenticeships have you done, and would you do more?
I am on my third apprenticeship, so I've done 2 before, and that's at my degree level, and I'm not sure at the moment. Leaving my options open, and if I want to study further, you can, as Anita, you can go up to a master's and beyond with apprenticeships, so anything is possible.
And I think that's such a great example of how apprenticeships really work, in that you can study at one level and then progress on to the next and to the next. But also you can use your apprenticeship to springboard into a degree at university if you wanted to, or springboard into another qualification, whether it be industry qualification. I think that's the beauty of apprenticeships. Actually, it gives you that appetite for learning. Your organisation sees that you're committed to learning, and actually these opportunities will come up, and your apprenticeship gives you the confidence, I think, that you can go on to many different routes. So it doesn't have to be another apprenticeship, but that's a great thing to do. How can we get a taster for apprenticeships? That's a question that's come through. So I guess it's probably very nervy, thinking, do I want to do an apprenticeship for 12 months, 18 months, 3 years, etc.? How do I know it's going to be right for me? What are some of the things you do at Grant Thornton to give people a taster of what it's really like, Anita?
Well, when you apply for a Grant Thornton apprenticeship, there's usually a day of working in a team with other people who have applied for the apprenticeship. So you get an understanding of what the role would be day to day. But also, you don't all go into one role. There's roles across all of the different functions at Grant Thornton. So it's not just financial and accountancy. There are, interesting things like financial crime, for example, and then there's the business consultancy side of things. So you kind of have an understanding, meet different people, meet people at different levels of the organisation, and really start to understand what it means to be an apprentice. And I would recommend that you try these sort of days with lots of different kinds of organisations that you're interested in.
Absolutely. And I think also, we're slightly out of time, or just about to tick over to 7 o'clock, but ask an apprentice. So, ask Jasmine tomorrow, or you will find lots of apprentices who are willing to share stories and offer feedback. Make sure you get in touch with one of them, and they can give you a real sort of reflection and true and honest version of what it's like to be an apprentice. Thank you to everyone who attended. Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Zane, for sharing your stories. I think we'll close there. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.